Would you guys like to win some free skins? Then make sure to join my Discord and check out the free skin event. Currently, we're giving out free skins to all the people that participate in this event, so make sure to participate today for your chance to even win mythicals. In today's video, we're going to go over everything that you need to know about the new Rio Remastered map. We're going to go over everything that includes raiding, map locations, building, and much more. If it's your first time here, I would really appreciate if you guys drop a like. Let's try to reach 200 likes, and subscribe if it is your first time here. Today, we're also going to roll a mythical giveaway, which is an energized, secure rucksack. If you guys want to win this, make sure that you have liked, subscribed, and comment something below. Channel members also have a higher chance of winning. Today's video is sponsored by Amok Studios. Amok Studios is a team of professionals who offer commissions with developers when it comes to mod and map making, without any risk. They provide client protection from risky and unknown developers, and Amok is able to refund if something does go wrong. Their main concern is protection, and why a lot of people use Amoks. Instead of taking a private commission with a developer knowing that there may be a risk, Amoks ensures that you will not get scammed. There are a lot of developers to choose from, each showcasing their work, and it is very safe. They have worked with a lot of different servers, such as Nilex Life RP, P9DOS Network, Hypnotic, and much more. Make sure to check out Amoks today. They are also working to get into other games as well, and I will have the link in the description below. So the first topic we're going to talk about is map locations. And first we're going to talk about the military base, which is Afonso's Air Base. So Afonso's Air Base is a military location where you can get yourself a bunch of military loot that also includes weapons, ammunition, clothing, and a lot more items. Over here, vehicles also do spawn, including helicopters and planes. I definitely would recommend that you guys check out this location. Next we have ourselves Rio de Janeiro, which is the main city. Now this city is actually really big, and from here you can get yourself all sorts of loot. Most importantly, from here you can get yourself a gas mask. Around the map there are a lot of fire stations, but over here, every time I went over here, I always found myself a gas mask or a filter. Over here there's mechanical items, construction, food, clothing, craftables. Literally everything that you would need, you can find them over here. Over here you can also find yourself a bunch of different vehicles. There's also a coalition tent area as well, so you can get yourself weapons as well. And over here I do think that this is probably one of the main highlights area for when it comes to PvP. And I definitely would recommend that you guys check out this location for a bunch of loot. In this map it is very important that you get yourself construction items such as books, such as the DIY book, encyclopedia, and all of that. And from this city you can actually get all of them. Also, helicopters do spawn at the top of this building, and you can also get yourself military weapons over here. Not to mention there's also one of the wonders of the world. Next we have ourselves Pacahueta, which is another town, but this one is on an island. Now over here you can find yourself a bunch of civilian items. There's also coalition and medical tents over here, so you can get yourself some weapons as well. Obviously from here you can get all sorts of civilian loot, mealies, clothing, food, and a lot more. Next we have ourselves San Gocalo. Now San Gocalo is another town area where over here there's a police station, fire station, mechanical area, and a lot more. Over here you can also get yourself a bunch of vehicles. There's also hardware stores, clothing stores, and a lot more. Next we have ourselves Petropolis, which is another town. Over here there's a police station, construction areas, and a lot more. There's also a clinic over here and some military tents. And over here there's also a crane for those people that love to snipe. Next we have ourselves Santos Joint, which is obviously the dead zone. Now over here you would require a gas mask, where you would be able to get a gas mask from fire station areas. Over here I do recommend that you actually bring yourself more than one filter, because the dead zone is not small. Now over here you would be able to get yourself a bunch of loot. There's mega zombie spawns, and there's also the underground facility. Now for the full underground facility, I will have ourselves a guide posted where I will be showing you guys all of the key cards and how to defeat the boss. But basically, really quickly, from here you can get yourself all of the key cards from inside the dead zone itself. But over from here you can also get yourself a bunch of vehicles, including high tier military vehicles as well. Now obviously the locations that we mentioned are not all. There's also another dead zone, which is a little ship, which over there's navy zombies, and the navy mega zombie does spawn over there as well. On this map, there are a lot of unmarked locations as well, including a lot of civilian locations, a lot of small military areas as well. So for you to know everything, I just recommend that you guys check out the map and explore a bit yourself. Something else that is very important in this map are books. And first, let's talk about the encyclopedia. So the encyclopedia does craft a lot of items that includes generators, water barrels, claim banners, stuff like ladders, forest ghillie netting, makeshift pump jacks, oxygenator, dirt bags, planters, fuel tanks, and basically a lot more. There's also the DIY book, which is very important for you to actually craft yourself base parts. Before you actually get yourself a base down, you would need to have yourself a DIY book. Now, you cannot craft DIY books, you can only find them, and you can find them in construction areas. Also, you would need yourself a hammer. Are very easy to find. The same with saws, they are very easy to find. in construction areas. So obviously before you start building a base, you would need to have yourself these tools. Now there's also field manuals. Now a field manual can be crafted by having yourself a military orientation and a medical orientation, which military orientation can be found from military zombies and medical orientation can be found from medical zombies. Once you get both of them, you can craft yourself a field manual. And as for encyclopedia, you would need Architect's Almanac, field manual, and Frant's cookbook to craft it. But with the field manual, then you would be able to craft yourself stuff like military fuel generator, white, claim banners, oxygen generator, barbed wire fences, landmines, basically stuff that has to do with military items. You can also saw off certain weapons, such as the Monster Key and the Serrano, and you can also make yourself makeshift clothing, such as the makeshift helmet. With it, you can also make yourself makeshift splint, med kits, and field kits. So these are very, very important. But then when it comes to medical orientation, it's also very important to get yourself certain medical items, such as dirty dressing, certain foods as well, such as concentrated medical concoction and antiseptic bottles. Then there's also the Frant's cookbook. Now Frant's cookbooks are mainly used for making makeshift grenades, sticky grenades, molotovs, chemical molotovs, explosive arrows, certain foods as well, such as orange cake, and you also need them to saw off certain weapons. Obviously, the more books you find, the more items you can craft. Now, some other important items that include in this map for crafting are very important, such as metal sheets and metal bars. Now, with these, you can obviously craft yourself a bunch of items that includes generators, oxygenators, base parts as well, base decorations such as placards, signs, hatches, drawbridges, gates, vault doors. So metal sheets are very important. Another book that is important is the Architect's Almanac. With this, you can craft yourself more base parts that includes maple ramps, log railings, posts, pillars, floors. So this is another book that you can actually build bases with. Rope is also very important for base building as well, and not just base building though. With it, you can make rope ladders, concrete bags, you can stack rope into rope coil. Nails are something that is also important in this map. With it, you can make makeshift grenades, you can also stack it into nail boxes, you can make landmines, trap prying crates, and a lot more. So basically every single tool in this map is actually important. Next, let's go over to base building. Now with base building, as we mentioned earlier, you would need yourself books, so either a DIY book or Architect's Almanac, or also an encyclopedia. And you would also need a hammer. In this, there are multiple tiers. Firstly, we have ourselves the eucalyptus floor, we have ourselves maple floor, pine floor, metal floor, and reinforced floor. And we can also make ourselves tile floors, which you would need concrete bags and brick piles. Now obviously to cut down a tree, you would need yourself a saw or an axe. Now, once you get yourself enough logs and the hammer, you would need to turn the logs into planks. And for this, you would require a saw. So one log gives you 3 planks. And once you manage to salvage them, then you would be able to start building a base. Now, maple buildables does have 800 HP, which is obviously the weakest out of all of them. Now, to make metal buildables, you would just require metal sheets, an encyclopedia, and a blowtorch, and you would require crafting 2 for this. And this does give 960 HP. And the final tier we have is the reinforced floor, which this one has 2160 HP. Now to craft a reinforced floor, you would need reinforced plates, concrete bags, and a blowtorch. In order to craft yourself a reinforced plate, you would need 6 metal scrap and 2 rare metals pile. With reinforced plates, then you would be able to make much more items, including reinforced door, lockable reinforced door, reinforced vault door. Basically, this is the highest tier of buildables. Something else that I would like to mention is that keys are very important. With keys, you would be able to make yourself lockable doors, lockable double doors. Basically, you would be able to make stuff lockable. That also includes gates, drawbridges, hatches, lockers as well, and counters. So something else that you would need in order to craft lockers are metal sheets, metal bars, keys, and encyclopedias, and blowtorches, which is, and obviously you would need crafting 3, which is actually, you would need quite a lot of items as well. Now keys, you can stack them too, and you can salvage them into metal parts. But obviously the first crates that you would need are the wooden crates. So in order to craft yourself wooden crates, you would need the planks, sticks, nails, and encyclopedia, and the hammer. Then there's also wardrobes that you can craft. Where to make a wooden wardrobe, you would need planks, nails, Architect's Almanac, and the hammer. Next, let's go over to airdrops. So there are 2 types of airdrops, which are low military and high military. So low military can have yourself an injector, viper, Taurus, constrictor, military ammunition, MRE, lance magazines, 12-gauge shells, field kit, and a field manual. So from airdrops, you can actually get yourself field manuals, which we talked about earlier. As for high military, you can get yourself a Dragon Maw, Grizzly, Hellseeker, Herstal, Maurus, ammunition, Rattlesnake, MRE, Mapingori, Thumper, medium grenades, gunpowder, arbalest, field manual, field kit, grenades, neutral coalition sentry, precision charge, charges, RCL cartridges, detonators, hydro rocket pods, and also missiles. Next, let's talk about the hordes. Now, there are 4 types of horde beacons. The first one we're going to go over is the makeshift horde beacon. Now, a makeshift horde beacon is the lowest tier of horde beacon, and there are multiple ways to actually craft it. Now, to make yourself a makeshift horde beacon, you can either craft it with a metal sheet, bars, chemicals, radio, Franz cookbook, and a blowtorch, or instead of an old radio, you would use a normal radio, and then instead of a Franz cookbook, you can also craft it with an encyclopedia. Now, obviously, this is the lowest tier when it comes to loot drops, so I actually recommend that you do not place this. It does spawn 100 zombies, and it only drops 5 items, and it has 80 HP. After that, let's go over to the normal horde beacon. In order to craft yourself a horde beacon, you would need a makeshift horde beacon, 2 metal sheets, 3 metal bars, electronic components, and chemicals. As for items, it drops all of these items. It does have 125 zombies as a wave, and 7 rewards. The highest items that you can get yourself is Zubeknikov, Uru, and Ace, and the rarest items you can get is Rare Metals Pile, Minecraft boxes, and medium rockets. Rare Metals Pile, as we mentioned earlier, they are very important. After that, we have the unstable horde beacon. In order to craft this, you would need an advanced horde beacon, which we're going to mention after this, metal sheet, metal bar, and 2 electronic components, and obviously you would require a blowtorch. As for items, it does drop 11 items, 200 zombies, but you only get these items, which are hydro rocket pods with 16.67%, and then there's chainbreaker ammunition, which is at 41.67%, and there's also the casket one, which is also at 41.67%. And the final one is the advanced horde beacon. In order to craft this, you would need yourself a normal horde beacon, metal sheets, metal bars, rare metals pile, and a chemical. And then you get yourself the advanced horde beacon. Obviously, you require crafting 3 and a blowtorch. As for this, you get yourself a bunch of good loot that includes Nycrev, Rocketsnik, and the Thumper are the most common, and the rarest are Rare Metals Pile and Electronic Components. Now, this does spawn 150 zombies, and you get 9 items as a reward. Next, let's go over to the raiding, where we're going to talk about charges first. Now, there are multiple ways to actually get yourself charges. There's simple charges, concentrated charges, and precision charges. For all of these, you would require copper wire and gunpowder, and also paper, a field manual, or an encyclopedia. Now, for a simple charge, it is quite easy to actually make it. For this, you would require copper wire, gunpowder, and paper, and also a field manual. And for this, you would also require crafting 3. Now, this does give 400 structure and 400 barricade damage. This does have 6 meter explosion radius as well, and obviously for this, you would require a detonator. Now, detonators are found commonly when it comes to also dead zones. That's where I mostly found them at, and you can also get this from the high tier military airdrops. The next charge we have is the precision charge. Now, in order to craft a precision charge, you would require copper wire, gunpowder, paper, electronic components, and an encyclopedia. And for this, you would require crafting 3. Now, this does give 2000 barricade and 2000 structure damage, which is actually quite a lot. This is one of the strongest charges that you can get. And the final charge we have ourselves is the concentrated charge. Now, the concentrated charge does give 1000 barricade and 1000 structure damage. In order to craft a concentrated charge, you could require copper wire, gunpowder, paper, electronic components, and an encyclopedia. Now, there's also a bunch of guns that do raid. Guns like the Grizzly, the Thumper, and there's a few others as well. Basically, any gun that uses high caliber mostly does raid. So, for example, a Grizzly does give 200 barricade damage and also structure damage. So the Grizzly is actually really strong for when it comes to raiding. Now, there's also the Thumper, which uses medium grenades. Now, medium grenades can be found either as a spawn, horde beacons, or also from high tier airdrops. Now, medium grenades give 200 structure damage and 100 barricade damage. Now, obviously, there's also a bunch of vehicles which raid. That includes the tank. Obviously, since the tank does have a missile, you can use this to raid. Tank is actually a really cool vehicle. Obviously, you can find this either in the dead zone, or obviously if players have taken it and it's around the map. But it does spawn at the dead zone. The next vehicle we have ourselves is the Hydra, which you can raid with Hydra rocket pods. This is a really cool helicopter, actually. Now, Hydra rocket pods can be found through various ways. You can either get this from the unstable horde beacon, or from high tier airdrops. And this also does spawn in high tier military nodes. In the description below, I will also have ourselves a link to the site that I was just showing, where in there's a lot of details and basically everything you would need to know about Rio. And that is it for this video, guys. I really hope that you guys did learn something new. If you guys have any questions, make sure to ask in the comment section below. Obviously, I didn't go over literally every single item, because in this map there are over 2000 items, 50 guns, and 70 vehicles, so I didn't want to spoil everything toward you. I do recommend you guys also check out the quest, because the quests are really cool. If you guys would like a full quest guide, let me know in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!